Welcome to Casual Watch Talk, the podcast from the Casual Watch Reviewer YouTube channel. Join us as we talk everything watches, from watch collecting, the latest horology news and interviews. If you're not already subscribed, subscribe on your favourite podcast app. Let's dive into the show. Hello everyone, welcome back to episode 55 of Casual Watch Talk, and we're back again in glorious Technicolor in video.
So clean, so smooth, so smooth. I cleaned up a little bit.
I know, I had to tidy my background. Yeah. So last week, for the audio listeners, we did an experiment where we did a video and we uploaded it to the YouTube channel, and it got really good feedback, which was a surprise to me and Kris.
Yeah, it was good. It was good.
No, we really appreciated people
also
watching it.
Instant feedback. So for those of you podcast listeners only, because sometimes, sometimes I would just listen to it, two good things. One is, if you want to get instant comments to us, that's the way to do it. So hit us down in the comments on YouTube for this podcast. And the other thing is, as was pointed out in the comments last time, just to being able to see everything and see what we're talking about, see all the watches that we mention on the show, and it's definitely important.
Absolutely. So we'll have to be cognizant that we still have audio listeners as well. So you can chastise me in the comments if I don't, if we start talking video stuff and we're not displaying it on audio. We'll just have to remember. But anyway, well, it's been a long time since we did this, Kris, but Kris is now thinking, bring back the legendary wristwatch check, because now we're in video.
We're in video mode. Right. I think I'll allow it.
Well, then, I mean, it's only fair that you go first then.
All right. Well, I am wearing my Bell & Ross BRV2. I will take it off to show the crowd. This is my very, very known Bell & Ross GMT. This is my everyday. I have it on the bracelet. Been wearing it everywhere. It's been kind of rainy, cold. I don't know. We've talked about this in the past. When it kind of gets that way here, I prefer like a bracelet, and not any, obviously no leather, and when it's cooler out, I like leather, but when I know it's going to rain here, just something I can rinse off in the sink or shower.
Yes. Yeah. No, great choice. I am wearing a new one. My wristwatch check is a new one, which is the Marathon. This is the mid-range Marathon Diver, 41mm. I think it's called is it called the T-SAR or the G-SAR or something? This is a quartz Marathon from 2006. I bought it on eBay last week. I think I talked about it, didn't I, on the podcast last week?
Teased it a little bit, yeah. Actually, for our audio listeners, it looks the part. It looks like a tactical military field watch that if you get into a pinch, you could hammer nails with, or bash something.
Yeah, and it's definitely, if you're interested in this watch, I think there's definitely a lot of mysteries around it. Like, is it too big? And for a 41mm watch, case size, dimensions, it does seem smaller than its 41mm dimensions. It fits really well. It is thick, but it's not. If you look at it from the side, you're like, oh my God, that's a thick watch. But when you're wearing it, you don't, I mean, probably because it's quartz as well, you don't feel it.
Doesn't have the top heavy problem like some of the Squale cases.
Like that Squale I had that time.
Right.
Or Squale. I should have took more footage of that before I sold it, but I was just, how annoyed I was. I was like, I just got to sell it. Because
get this out of the house.
That was a really, anyway, we were going off on a tangent again, like
that's okay.
that. But one of the things
in this case, it doesn't affect it. Is it like, it's like 13 mil?
I think it's like 13 mil, I think. I'll just hold it up to the camera there.
Yeah.
One of the things I thought you might find interesting about it was it's 2006. I would bet that the tritium's less than half life on it.
Right. Yeah.
Compared to that Luminox I had. Now, the Luminox wasn't bright, but you could see it when you went into a dark room. You could see it. Whereas this one, your eyes really have to adapt to the dark for you to really see it.
Okay.
So I'd say it's probably less than half of what which I suppose is interesting, really, if it's like half-life for 25 years, but that's 2006.
Yeah, and it might depend on the technology that, you know, at the time, or the amount that they put in of the fluorescent material, because I would say the fluorescent material has gotten better. So maybe, yeah, there's some secret sauce mixture there. But I mean, as far as its purpose, though, it doesn't glow like a dive watch after you come in from the sun. It certainly doesn't glow like that. But for its purpose, to be able to see what time it is in the dead of night at 3 o'clock in the morning when there's absolutely no lights and the watch hasn't seen the sun for 12 hours, you can still read the time?
It's when your eyes have really adjusted.
Right.
And I did look that Marathon will replace the dial and hands on it. I think it works at $160. I probably won't do it on this one. It's funny, they put the parts on the website, and I was kind of adding it up. I was thinking, you won't be able to buy them separately, of course, but if you bought them separately, it would be less than what they sell the watch for. Anyway, I know the watch has got a guarantee.
The sum of its parts, the sum of its parts deal. So, but you know, like to replace it for $160, I mean, like time and labor, like labor and parts and labor, should I say? That's you can't get new tires put on your car for $160.
Well, exactly, and I'm sure there's a little caveat in there where you have to pay for the full service, which is $175. I'm sure they would tack that.
Oh, okay.
I'm guessing.
So then,
I don't know. I actually emailed them about servicing it.
Okay.
So we'll report back soon.
Find out.
Well, okay. Well, we did a wristwatch check.
Yeah,
Should we dive in with
well, you want to do your watch? You want to do your watch obsession, and we'll do mine.
Oh, well, okay. We're new in video, and now we're going to mix it up a little bit. But
we're just
absolutely. Well, my watch obsession has been the Veya dive watch that I reviewed on the channel probably 4 or 5 months ago, the D7. Mm-hmm. Well, they finally got the production models going, and they sent me one of the D5s.
Oh, in production.
Which I wasn't expecting, but extremely grateful. I don't know if you can see it. It's got what they call a tropical dial. Now, I've never really seen this before, but you can see how it's got the outer ring. I'll throw up a picture for video viewers, but for the audio viewers, essentially it's a dial, but it has a really thick outer ring. I've never seen a dial like it, and it's got a roulette date on it, and it sort of looks a bit like a roulette wheel. You can't quite imagine what it's like. You can see it on the website, but when you get it in person, it shocks you to start with, because you're like, oh, that really is unusual for a dial. I'm actually really liking it.
Nice.
So they sent me this. They sent me the metal strap with it. But what I thought was really interesting is they've stepped up. Normally I don't talk about the boxes, but you've got the standard Veya box,
right?
But inside it, instead of the foam cutouts, they've done something which I think is very Apple-esque, where they've got the two boxes, but with the picture. So you've got one box that's got the picture of the watch on to show you the watch is in there. The other one with the strap to show you the straps in there. And then they kind of pull out, and each of these are then their own individual box, which I thought
it's kind of and it's kind of all made of cardboard, so a little more responsible.
Yeah,
which is
and
good.
I think because this is the first production one I've got, I didn't realize that you get like the warranty card with it that's signed, and like a nice instruction manual and stuff. So I'm just so grateful to them for. I was glad to do my bit, and I wasn't really expecting a watch in exchange, but I'm extremely grateful to Ryan and Reagan for sending me. The production model just lives up to the prototype that I had, especially the case and everything. They've just done an excellent job of this. So
that's great.
There's my watch obsession. Is a watch that I own, which might be the first time that I've done that.
I think you've done that before. We'll have to go back again. Hit us up in the comments. Tell us when Sam was obsessed with his Breitling, because that's never happened.
Yeah, there's no prize. Maybe there is. Maybe I'll send you a watch strap.
Maybe there's one. Yeah, right. So my watch obsession this week is it's not really a watch obsession. It's a clock obsession. Oh. Does that count? You're going to allow that?
I will.
All right. A time obsession. So I had a hourly chime that I used to have on my computer that would just basically chime every hour. And you're familiar with Peter Gabriel's Sledgehammer?
Oh, yeah, one of the best music videos ever.
In the beginning, that little pan flute that's like, right? So that's what it was. So it just chimes every hour. And I wanted to make it so that it was kind of in the room, and it was like on a little speaker. And I was thinking like, oh, I could make a real-time clock connected to an Arduino, connected to a thing and a speaker, and kind of went around and around and like thinking about like how I was going to build this. And it just so happened that I had a free Google Home Mini, and the Google Home Mini has a speaker in it and a little amplifier and some other electronics that connect over the internet. And I thought, oh, I'll program that to do an hourly chime. Unfortunately, that led me into a whole long tangent of programming where you can't change the programming on it. And Google doesn't really want you to directly access the hardware. They want you to use their like voice control stuff. Like they assume that the reason why you would program something with a Mini is like to hear you say something, or like a special command, like, you know, I'm home, or, like shields up, or, silly stuff like that. But as far as like directly controlling the hardware, I went around and around. And then I looked, I had a bunch of friends who were like, oh, well, maybe you could make it so that it like, that it like ran a program every hour. And so I looked into that, and unfortunately, it will do this, but you have to program it 24 times. You have to make 24 little macros to just chime. And I'm just like, oh, this is way too complicated for, again, a speaker and some sort of computer reading a sound file every hour. Long story short, got that Google Home Mini for free. So I just gutted it. I just took all the electronics out of it. And it has a speaker in it. So I utilized the speaker, and I did a 3D printed enclosure, and then incorporated a real-time clock connected to an Arduino and a little amplifier. And now I get the Peter Gabriel chime, which will chime in about 6 minutes here.
Wow.
And every hour. Now, the reason why it's one of those obsessions was you had asked me last week, like, what your watch obsession was, and I had this thing strewn apart across my workbench, and I was like, I can't even talk about this yet, let alone is it even an obsession, watch obsession. So here's I'll show you a picture. So there's the final product. So that's half of it's basically a Google Home Mini, but split in half. I added a ring, a plastic ring here,
okay,
3D printed, just to give it some more space so I can pop some more electronics in there.
Wow.
It has a real-time clock built in. It synchronizes with my computer. And to bring us back around, and I found this is the interesting part of all of this. Everybody says, oh, computers are really accurate, clocks and time, real-time clocks are super accurate. 2 seconds a day. It's 2 seconds a day slow.
Oh, really?
So yeah, the little quartz oscillator in it, because of the way it's hooked up to the backup battery, so it has a little 3-volt cell battery in it to have backup power. And this is not like mission critical hardware, so it's not like thermal compensated or anything. And I think it gets affected by the power that whatever I'm plugged into, right, the USB power. To bring this around to, listen to it chime and then look down at my mechanical watch and be like, oh, interesting. You're slow.
Of course, the question that I've got with this is,
yes,
please, when you tell me that when you were taking that Google thing apart, it was like, no, don't do it, please.
I think, yes, right. Right. Yeah. No, there was, I gotta, let me pull up here's the pic.
Oh, wow. Okay. So yeah, you definitely murdered it. And this, everyone, is how the robot overlords captured us after Kris killed one of their babies.
I know, right?
Okay. Well, now that we are in glorious video, I think we need to properly segment the show up. So I think we need to segment the news up, which I think we'll start off calling it This Week in Watches, but if anybody's got a better name, let us know.
Yeah, hit us up in the comments.
Yeah, so it'll be This Week in Watches, the news with Kris and Sam, who will be your pair of watch anchors.
Is it going to be you're going to do the whoosh, you're going to do like a graphic, or you're just going to hit the chapter mark on it?
That might be a lot of pressure. If there's a graphic here, then I did it. And if there's no graphic here, then I run out of time.
That's right. Choo, choo, choo. This Week in Watches.
This Week in Watches. Yeah, hey, thank you. Kris just sung you there.
Good. There you go. All right. We're done.
it was actually a light-ish week. Now, if anybody, this is probably no secret, and if I've made it a secret, then it doesn't need to be a secret, but I get a lot of the stories for the watch news from Watch Pro because I feel like they do a really good job of collecting the news. But one thing that they have fallen short on this week, I think, is they've redesigned their webpage, and I don't get it. It's like gone back to the 1990s or something.
Yeah, it feels like somebody accidentally picked the default WordPress theme, that 2012 WordPress theme that was just white background menu on top, and then like stuff on the left, and then the bar on the right.
Yeah, I don't.
Super basic.
I'm not feeling this at all. But anyway, let's kick the news off. So something I found really interesting. I don't know if this made the news a lot in California, but it certainly made the news here in Florida a few times, is because they lived in Miami. But Phil Collins, who a few people have drawn a likeness from me in my Phil Collins in his younger days and me, which anyway, there's worse things you can be compared to.
I can see that.
He's some absolute fantastic music. Phil Collins, one of my favorite music writers, but it seems like whilst he's been doing his stellar efforts writing these hits, his wife or ex-wife now, I think he married her twice. I feel like he married her twice, but anyway, she then married somebody else. I don't know if you heard this. She married somebody else and moved this new chap into their home in Miami, which was this like epic $40 million house or something in Miami. Anyway, he managed to get her... Oh, yeah, here we go. $40 million Miami mansion. He managed to get a divorce from her and won an injunction to kick her out of the house. So she moved out. But, boy, did she... she went out with a bang. So she is selling off or sold off a lot of her stuff. And some of it's a bit sad, actually, because some of it's his music memorabilia, so a few gold records and things like that he had.
I wonder, was that all settled? Like, is this stuff all settled in court? Like, is she selling stuff that she shouldn't be?
Well, I think this was stuff that he gave her, but she's a jewelry designer. Now, I can't give her too much of a hard time here because I will say that half of the money that she's raised is going to her charity. So I can't give her too much hard time here for selling off Phil Collins' possessions, but she sold off some of her own stuff. And I'll give her one thing. She's got fantastic taste in watches if you were rich. So she's got a bit of like, she's got a few kind of rich paint by numbers watches, but she's got a really impressive collection. So For people on the video that you're looking here, you can see she had a rose gold Daytona that she sold. She's had a gold Daytona. Then she had the Nautilus at the Aquanaut, and then she had the Nautilus with the moon phase, the date in small seconds.
Good time to sell those.
Unbelievable.
Peak right there.
So they've got a couple on Watch Pro, but if you click through to the website where the actual auctions happened, I mean, there's all sorts going on here. The jewelry that she had, a lot of jewelry,
a lot of handbags. Yep.
So it's just an interesting story that she. I mean, spot on. She sold right for the Patek Philippe, but she had quite an impressive watch collection going on there. So every time you hear a Phil Collins hit like "In the Air Tonight" or whatever, which I think he wrote about his first wife running off, but anyway. Now you can where all that money went was into watches. So next story is, and this is from Watch Pro, but I'm confused with what the story is. Essentially, the gist of it is that eBay notches up double-digit growth in luxury watches as transactions top 100 billion. Now, when I read into it, I don't think there's 100 billion in watches, but they have increased and they think it's down to that authenticity guarantee.
Oh yeah. I would say so. I'd say so. I wanted to experience it, but I didn't. I haven't yet experienced it. But I think it really opened the door for them to say, any of the problems that you might have buying, selling on eBay. They took a lot of that away with that program. And it's about making customers feel comfortable. And that was basically, I'm surprised because it added some friction, so like your expensive watch is going off to a third party before going off to the person. So you're adding some days there where it's in transit, you're adding some hands, and like whenever you have a third party situation, no matter what, like, you're bound to have some trouble. So I was a little skeptical of it, but apparently that was the big thing that was getting everybody's way from buying and selling on eBay was this, was the thought that like maybe you're buying a counterfeit. Now, I'm sure buried in the terms of service is, their authentication is very strict, but I would not be surprised if it's not airtight. But at the same time, just enough so that it gets people sort of, comfortable in trying to do that. And then any seller, any forger seller who would try to pass off an illicit watch would maybe think twice. And so that maybe it's just a mental, if like we're going to open those up and take a look. And so maybe that's just enough where those people, those nefarious folks, avoid eBay.
I agree with you. There's like that initial deterrent that they think, well, this might go off. But we've talked about this before, and we've got no evidence to back this up. But we talked about, do they even go down to the parts level, especially with like vintage Seiko and stuff like that, where there's you've got to be careful of the dial and the hands. But interesting. I feel like this is bittersweet because I'm glad that eBay are doing well, but there's never a day when I've sold something on eBay and I'm amazed at what little they took in fees. I'm always shocked by how much the fees end up turning out at.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. I just felt that one. I left enough in my PayPal account to pay for it. And I did the math quick. There's a good site that's like, what are you going to pay in fees? And so I did the math on it, and I was like, whew, geez. And I looked at what was in my PayPal account had like $30 in it. And I was like, I'm going to need to leave like $167 in there. So it was like,
that's an annoying thing with PayPal where if you have to refund somebody quickly, if you've already paid the postage, they won't let you refund funds that they won't pull the refund. So I've been in a couple of situations where I've paid the postage and then the guy's been like, something's happened where I've had to refund the whole amount, cancel it. But you can't refund the whole amount because the whole amount isn't in there because you paid the postage out of the PayPal. Right. It says, you can only refund with cleared funds.
Right.
I don't know when they changed that.
Yeah, and then so two things. Then what they do is if you have an automatic, so I have an automatic transfer, which is like it's buried in PayPal, but you can do like an automatic transfer so that you don't have any funds in your PayPal account. It just automatically slides to your checking account. They bury that feature on purpose because they want you to keep a balance in PayPal. They want the money there. Well, if you do that, what happens is if you go to refund them on eBay, it like gives you an error. It doesn't even like explain what the problem is. It's just like, oh yeah, you can't do that. And you're like, what are you talking about? Even though your PayPal is set up to transfer funds automatically. Like if you were to buy something, it has no problem. Like if you buy something, it'll tell PayPal like, yeah, go ahead and move money from Chris's checking account over to the eBay, whatever. And then the second big one that I've seen, eBay wants to become their own bank. So eBay has already started forcing sellers into their direct transactions. So pretty soon, it started this year, pretty soon, if you pay a company on eBay, the money goes directly through eBay to their checking account.
Wow.
PayPal is not involved and is not a credit card processor in this case because eBay wants to be a bank, and they realize that probably, whatever 3 in, 3 out % of all of their transactions are going to PayPal, and so they're going to put a stop to that.
I have to stop thinking about it because it does annoy me, but I do need eBay. It's weird, but anyway. So last story here before we pause for a quick break for our audio listeners. And this one's a bit funny. So this is Hodinkee, and Kris and I have talked about the Benrus Type 1 limited edition, which is the recreation of their I always refer to it as a CIA watch, but it's that it's the Benrus. I always refer to it as the CIA watch, but it's that very simple military watch, offset crown, a bit like the Marathon Navigator. And Benrus re-released it this year, and they teased it. Absolutely nauseating this was on social media. God, they teased it for months and months and months, and then by the end of it, I don't think anybody was that interested in it. And it's what's funny about this is, I'll get your view on this, Kris, is it was a limited edition on Hodinkee that's not sold out.
Oh, wow, surprising.
And so then there's an article that appears, and they've been selling it for, what would you say, Kris, like 3-4 months? It was before Christmas.
Yeah, at least before Christmas we've been talking about this,
So apparently there's a writer on Hodinkee called Jack Forster, or Forster. So he wrote an article on it, and apparently I read Hodinkee, but I'm not cognizant enough to know who's writing it, but apparently when he writes an article and he's on form, the readers of Hodinkee just absolutely love it. So they pulled out the big guns, and he's written an article on this watch, which I think is hilarious because why would they? It's a limited edition watch. I bet they're surprised it's not sold out. But apparently his writing is so good that there was a comment in the comments below that said, I love Jack's work because he makes me nostalgic for a history that I haven't had. Which I just thought was like the greatest comment.
Yeah, no, I mean that's kind of, I mean that's the that's Hodinkee in a nutshell. I mean that's what they do. That's what they're known for. That's kind of what they've done. That bringing forth that nostalgia, but nostalgia that I haven't even experienced.
I suppose that's like a metaphor for watch collecting in general, isn't it? It's like, I need a really precision diver, but I'm not actually ever been a commercial diver.
Not dive certified, but like you go in the forums and it's like, this isn't an ISO certified diver, it's crap, and you're like, right, but also, are you?
Yeah, it's so funny. But I just thought the whole article was hilarious in the fact that they're clearly, maybe they're a little bit worried about this Benrus, and there's a few people who opened this watch in the comments that had a few not the nicest, not bad things to say about it, but I think a few people might have regretted their purchase. But read the comments, that's their view, not my view.
He even says it. I'm looking at the screen. He even says like, you can get a hell of a lot elsewhere for $16.95. I'm like, yeah, you kind of can. I do love the bezel on that, but I love the bezel with the 12-hour bezel with the hash marks for the diving. I super like that look enough to find it on a Seiko mod and put it on some SKX or Turtle or whatever. That's as far as the watch obsession with that watch goes. But yeah, that's a funny funny scenario that we've been kind of watching. So we're a little bit of insight into the Hodinkee mind. Before
we dive into our main subject, we'll just pause for the audio listeners. I've not worked out to do this on video yet, but we'll just pause for a very quick ad break.
Hey, it's Kris from the Casual Watch Talk podcast. As our longtime listeners know, we often talk about cars here on the pod, and that's no coincidence. Like a lot of mechanical watch lovers, we're both into cars and racing. A couple years ago, I curated a collection of automotive-inspired straps and started the Campionato Club. Campionato Club watch straps celebrate the rich history of automotive liveries with their inspired colors. Available in a single pass NATO, 2-piece, and our new super comfy elastic NATO. Check out Campionato Club on the web. That's championship in Italian, CAMPIONATO.club.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Casual Watch Talk. So Kris, I think you've got a couple of interesting topics for the main part of the show.
Yeah.
So do you want to kick us off? I'm interested in this one as well.
Yeah. Well, we can start. Let's start off with everyday carry, and I can kind of talk about it. But I've mentioned it on the channel here a couple times, and obviously not frequently. We haven't really gotten into it. But one of the things that I noticed recently is I'm seeing a lot more mechanical watches in that group.
Everyday carry, I think, is Is it a newish phenomenon? I think you should explain what it is for people that perhaps aren't familiar with it. I don't even know if it's a UK thing, but if you just explain it for.
I think it's been around. I mean, it's been around for a while. I want to say in some form or another. I don't know how long. One of the sort of the main sites that popularized it, literally called everydaycarry.com. I'm not sure when they started, but say, maybe 10 or so years, maybe more, maybe less. For an overview, it's being prepared and being ready for anything, but also sort of a look into your world as, what you carry with you every day, what are the tools that are getting you through the day, these sorts of things. And I think it, on a couple of levels, so you could maybe look at it as like preparedness, sort of prepared for any situation, kind of the Boy Scout motto. You could look at it as what tools of the trade for a particular job. So it's very fascinating to me when I see like EMTs and, medical pilots and, stuff like what's in their pocket, like what do they have on them? So when they touch down that they're, ready to do the job kind of thing. We talk about this all the time with tool watches. And then finally the, almost the design and fun and fashion aspect of everyday carry. So I notice we have there's a combo, so like a combination hashtag I see a lot on Instagram where folks will get the blue dialed watch, the blue Swiss Army knife, the blue fidget spinner, the blue lighter, the blue handled knife, these sorts of things to sort of color coordinate, like, hey, we're not, it's not just black and gray camo tactical stuff. It's, we're starting to, as a fashion item for men, and, it goes along like bracelets, again, bracelets, watches, keys, things like this. What's kind of, what's on your person, that kind of stuff. So in those like three levels, I'd say that's kind of it. I think it started with, I think here in the United States, it's associated with carrying a pistol sometimes. And in some states, concealed carry is totally a thing. I think that gets blown out of proportion when it's kind of on the internet. And, you'll see this on certain forums where, folks from Japan or Britain or Europe would be like, wait, you're walking around with a pistol on your hip, in rural Texas. Okay. Not here in Orange County, California, and not, that's not but I think what happens is a little sensationalized. So for like a carry thing, also a lot of times with knives. So, again, there are, some places where knife crime is a thing and people don't want to be associated with that. And I totally get it. I, as a Boy Scout, have had my tote and chip since I was a little kid. And so I'm comfortable with, and I know how to handle a sharp knife, and I use it to open boxes and et cetera stuff every day. But again, this is not, not necessarily a part of it, but, it's kind of like a background of it. And, I really like it because I'm definitely keyed into one or two of those aspects. Again, like I said, what tools of the trade people are carrying, sort of like interesting, stuff like that. So, I'll start, Sam. Let's see what your everyday carry is. What do you got on you all the time?
I'd never really thought about it till we said we were going to do this segment, so I'm definitely the newbie here for anyone that's listening. And I think I only really, when you mention it to me, I mean, I don't know if this is right, but I've definitely always have my phone on me.
Yeah. So totally fine. Yep.
Yeah. I always have the iPhone 11 on there if anybody's interested.
Yeah.
I have a watch, obviously, so I've got the Marathon on now, but I always wear a watch. I don't sleep in a watch, which I think that's weird, but sorry for anybody that does sleep in a watch, but I don't sleep in a watch.
I don't either, but I know people that don't shower with a watch, and I have no problem with that. because
it's
designed for it, and I just
yeah, I don't shower with it. Although no, I don't. But I wouldn't have a problem with that either.
Yeah,
it's a weird line there. I have my wallet, and
okay.
I don't necessarily always take my keys now. This is a little bit of a tangent, but I moved into a new apartment where they have it's a card pass to get into the door, so like a hotel.
Oh, okay.
And it's dead funny because they say if you lock yourself out, the door closes itself and you can't get in. You have to get them to get you in. So apparently they'll do it one time, but if you do it a second time, lock yourself out, they'll charge you $200.
Oh, geez.
I know, to unlock the door. And I was thinking to myself, that's a bit naughty because it's not convenient for me to have a card. It's convenient for them because if a tenant moves out, they can switch the locks. So they should open it for free, shouldn't they? Because it's not convenient for me to have it as a card. I could just have it on my keys. But anyway.
Yeah.
So when I do have my keys, it's just my car key now. So it's a Mini Clubman 2011. Love my Mini Clubman.
Yeah.
But the only tool that I have other than my watch is like a Leatherman Wave, which I don't carry all the time, but I don't carry it out the house. But when I'm in the house, I always wear it. These are
as a fan of the everyday carry community. That's one of the top. It's one of the top multi-tools. I mean, the Leatherman Wave is almost, I would say, like a standard issue multi-tool. Do everything. It's super popular.
Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. But as we've been moving to an apartment, we were shipping some stuff over, so this is the only tool I had. The only problem is if you try and use this a lot for a screwdriver, it isn't that comfortable to use it like consistently as a screwdriver because the blades kind of protrude out the side, so you end up really like it does end up hurting your hand. It doesn't replace. I think it's the screwdriver's in a pinch, but the pliers use all the time. The knife I use all the time. The serrated knife is spot on. So yeah, that's my everyday carry.
Yeah, cool. Very cool. Yeah. So I have I have a small set of keys, like minimal keys. I won't a little carabiner kind of minimal keys. And I've got some IT stuff. Like I like to use a YubiKey. And another, like I love the IMA key, the USB keys for storing stuff.
So is one of those a password, an encrypted password
key?
Yeah,
exactly. That's exactly what it is. So this is a two-factor authentication key.
It's a Google thing, because is that one where Google tried it and like 100% they couldn't hack it or something? It was like ridiculously high.
Google has one that they made specially for them. And then this one also works with their stuff, so that you can set it as a two-factor. So basically, it has a microchip in it, and it responds to a known cryptographic signal. And if it doesn't respond correctly, then you're not getting in.
It uses Google Authenticator, does it? The app?
Yeah, it works with it. It's a series of technologies that work with it. Off the top of my head, I don't know which the like FIDO technology that it uses, but it uses for like a physical hardware key, which is cool. So then, it also has passwords that it manages a password manager. So then I basically use that, and it's interesting to get people used to that because what you have to do is you just be like, they're like, oh, if I'm going to lose this, and you're like, you put it on your keychain, it's waterproof, it's like static proof, it's life proof. I've had one for probably 10 years now, and if you lose your keys, what do? You go and you have to rekey your car, and you have to, tell the place that you're going to pay $200 because you got locked out of your apartment or whatever. And then you go and you reset your passwords and change everything like that because you've lost your keys. It's the same functions. You just kind of have to mentally like get into that. So for keys, wallet, I usually have a zippered wallet. Nothing, not too fancy, but right now I've got a like a little trifold brown. It's not too excited. That doesn't really do anything for me. But I started carrying a flashlight, so I've got a what is this? The Lumen Top, and I'll get the if I can read the thing in the studio lighting that we've got, the RR20. And it's interesting. I saw that a lot of people were every day carrying flashlights, and I thought, am I going to carry a flashlight every day? Like, this is. But again, I'm an IT guy, and I thought about it, and I was like, all right, yeah, sometimes it's nice when you're in the back of the server room and da 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 da. And 2 weeks after I started carrying it, this is like 10 years ago, I was in the server room, and the lights went out, and the power went out, and I was just stuck there in like the middle of the server room in the dark, and I was like, oh, I have a flashlight on me. He's all right, nice. And so that worked out like magic. And so I've been every day carrying a flashlight ever since. And then
my granddad used to love torches. That was his thing. Like he would always
torches.
he had to have a torch like in hand somewhere. It was just like his thing, I think.
And finally is my I have a Benchmade bug out, which is just a folder.
Oh right, okay. So it's a knife, folding knife.
Folding knife.
Is it locking blade or?
Yeah. So locks, and it's got the nice smooth action. They have a special, I forget what their glide lock system, their slide lock system there that locks it out.
Is there a knife in the UK? I believe it's less than 6 inches is legal, or there's a certain. I don't know if there's anything like that in America. Is there? I mean, obviously, you've got a big.
Yeah, so it varies by state, but basically a pocket folding knife, something that folds, is typically is not, it doesn't matter how, it does matter how it opens. So it has to be like it has to it can't be like a switchblade that just press a button and the knife comes out and it's a double-edged. That's no good. So yeah, there's all kinds of esoteric rules about it. I mean, I can remember when, the TSA crackdown on all that. I mean, I find it a pain that I have to store all this stuff in luggage and then have to put it back on me. So it's like, it's this weird moment where I'm like, I'll be in the airport and I just want I have a Leatherman as well. And you just want like a pair of pliers or something. Like I had a zipper pull, like come off my backpack. And you're like, oh, let me just grab I can't have that on me. So yeah. So, I mean, various definitions of like what's safe, what's dangerous. But like I said, knives are.
I have that when I travel for work. I do a job where I might have to, I mean, I'm not in a technical role, but I might have to lend a hand. And you're right. Sometimes you're like, oh God, I wish I had like a Leatherman or a pair of pliers or something.
Yeah. Just something to get the job done. So
yeah.
So that's kind of an overview. And then to bring it around, I have noticed, and then I'll share, I have been noticing, and I'm sure others have as well, that a lot of this is everydaycarry.com.
Okay.
Cool.
I suppose it's more catchy than Pocket Pals. Might have been.
Yeah. There's another one on Instagram, like the pocket dump hashtag, and every time I type that, I'm just like, that doesn't sound good.
No, that doesn't sound like. You definitely don't want that in my pockets.
Hey guys, check out my pocket dump. And you're like, oh God. They're talking about wallets. They have a section just for watches, but I mean, boom, right here, staff pick, right there, Seiko. So what they'll do. This site is basically funded on. People load what they have into the system, and they do affiliate links. So I'm sure they're making a bunch of money on affiliate links for buying this. But what it also shows is sort of what the hot gear is these days, and like I said, there's SKX.
Wow, there's a lot of SKXs there as well, and also a lot of Burt's Bees chapstick for our audio viewers that can't see this. For our audio listeners that can't see it.
And so, I mean, just something to point out. I mean, like over on their section on watches, I mean, you definitely see Casio, Garmin, Timex, Boulder.
I suppose that shows that more people are maybe starting to wear watches again.
I think, that's why I brought it up. I think so. And I'm starting to see some of those really affordable, like, Yeah, the Duro, right? Really affordable, but like, get it done kind of thing. Like I just want to buy like Luminox. There's the Navy SEAL one that we've talked about.
Yeah, I like that Luminox when I reviewed
here's your best tactical watches.
No, there's the Sunto watch that Kris said. He says he sees more of those on military personnel than anything else. Was that Sunto?
Yeah, interesting. So yeah, just wanted to, like I said, bring attention to it. I think I'm seeing more and more. Here's the SNZ, the 55 fathoms Seiko 5. Seeing more and more of that in my circles of everyday carry. Wanted to see also, if you guys are, if the listeners or the viewers are an everyday carry person and sort of in the community, chime in and hit us up in the comments and let us know.
Yeah, head on over to Casual Watch Talk Facebook group and throw a picture on there.
Yeah,
we'd love to see it. And then if you want us to make this a regular section or a spin-off on the old EDC gear, or Pocket Pals. No, that's not going to catch on. I might try and make it catch on.
Yes. Yeah, Pocket Pals, no.
Well, that's been a really fascinating podcast this week. So, everyone, thanks for listening and thanks for watching. Yeah, Kris, that was really interesting about the EDC. Maybe I need to think about it a little bit more, and maybe there is more that I carry. So, anyway, guys, as always, we really appreciate you listening and watching now, of course, and we'll see you next time on Casual Watch Talk. Thanks, guys. Bye.